What's up, friends? Hey, friends. Hi, friends. Hey, friends. How's it going? I'm EnviroBoy. We're doing another special episode. I've got my buddies here. We're continuing where we failed to finish the first time, and we're gonna talk about the games that we like, and that's what we're gonna do. I got my two friends here. My other friend, whose name is also Scott, which makes it super fun. So Scott's here. Scott, say hi.
Fear not the dark, my friend, and let the feast begin.
Beautiful. Sexy. And then my other friend here, Cody, he is also joining us. Cody, say hi.
I want to take the ears off, but I can't. I hop and I hop. I never get off the ground.
Outstanding.
Perfect.
So now I want to turn to say video game quotes. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite games ever, to quote the ever-wise and venerable Eddie from SSX Tricky. Right on, baby. All right, so we talked
Excellent.
about a bunch of video games last time, and we've got a bunch more to talk about. I fully expect that we will not finish this today. And here's the thing too, for the audience members out there. You might think that this is just because we're passionate about games and we like to talk about them for a long time. No, we're milking this for as much content as we can get. We want as many hours out of this one topic as we can get, okay? Because we want this to be a long-lived channel and everything like that, and a long-lived guest appearance. So the more episodes we can drag out of this, the better. Frankly, I think it was a failure on our part to not just spend an hour on each game, but hey, I'm just kidding. It's just because we really like talking about games. Originally we planned to have it be one episode, but then we were having fun, so we're doing more episodes.
I've got the cup-o names when you guys are ready.
Oh,
I'll draw out the first name of the night.
I've never
right.
been so ready.
My body is ready. Okay,
yeah.
It is Dead Space.
Oh, sweet.
Oh,
I'm going to be honest. We're so far removed from this. I don't remember which games necessarily I did and didn't submit because there's so many of them on here. But Dead Space definitely deserves to be on this list.
It's been a long time since I've last played Dead Space, but Cody, I think you nominated this one.
I did. And have either of you guys played the remake?
I have not.
I don't know if I have played the I think I played the remake. When did the remake come out again? I forget.
Not too long ago, within the last year or two.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that recent?
like,
okay, then it was not the remake that I would have played.
I think it was 2023. I'm gonna check. But you go ahead and talk.
So, I mean, Dead Space, regardless, a remake or not, I just thought the storytelling was really well done. It's horrifying, absolutely horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
It actually does something for you. And I thought when it comes to all of those games that are out there that are from over the shoulder and going through like Resident Evil 4, which is also good, this one just really kind of captured the aloneness of the whole. And gosh, you never really knew what was going to happen. They really done well with the random encounters. You could play it a second time through, and you could kind of pick out when the thing is going to jump out at you or when something's going to chase you.
Yeah, like you learn the cadence, but
sometimes you'd even speed. You get going through it really quickly, and suddenly the one thing's like, there was a thing laying there the first time I played it. Where'd it go now? And then it would come out of a different vent. And so it just, with all of the impending, it did such a good job for scary games, giving them a foundation. Like, look, a scary game can also have a good story.
Yeah.
And it was very well done up until the last couple of chapters. That's just, I mean, those were the greatest too, but it was just such an uphill. The suspension built so well up until that last moment. We're like, holy smokes. There's a lot of holy smokes factors.
And we're talking about the original game, which incidentally is the only one I played. I remember it being a decent story, although I couldn't tell you, precise details about what the story was. But I remember it was basically Isaac, the main character, trying to find his wife. And spoiler alert. Okay, fair enough. Spoiler alert, he does find her, but things didn't go well.
You don't know the spoiler until the end, unless you're clever enough to figure out the chapter titles.
Yeah, that's
because if you do that chapter title business and line up all the first letters of it, it spells it out for you.
I remember it being good. I remember you and I in high school played it quite a bit parallel, not together, but like we talked about it a lot.
Dead
I
Space
remember
was
Big
also
Mr. Meaty.
like I think Dead Space was probably the first like actual horror game I ever had the nuts to be willing to play, and like because like it took me a while to learn to appreciate horror. Like some people just have a natural propensity for having the poop scared out of them, and I was never one of those people. Took me a little while to warm up to it. I have a strong appreciation for it nowadays. But this was one of the first games where I was like, because it was sci-fi and everything, I was like, you know what? I need to see what this game's about. I need to play this game. And so I remember making myself kind of go full into it, and I played the game like only at night with the lights off alone. And I remember it definitely scared a few farts out of me, if not a full-blown poo or two. It was awesome, and I loved it, and it was a really good introduction for me to horror games at the
One of
time.
the infamous sharts. Video game
This is
sharts.
also, to me, definitely one of the few that I could say the remake, once you play the remake, I can't go back to the first one.
Yeah.
The remake knocks it out of the park. It's amazing. And if you've played the second one where they actually let Isaac speak, they give him a voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
The remake's the remake of the first one and only the first one, but they bring back Isaac's voice actor from 2 and 3 to 1. So he
Really?
actually
That's
has
interesting.
voice. So if you play the first game and then you play the remake, you finally get to hear him. What is he actually thinking during these times that I played through before? And the voice acting and the sound design is just so well done. It's the remake. There's huge portions of the ship you'll be walking through and be like, I recognize this, but it did not play this way. Like everything's been remapped from the ground up. There's just so much more to do. All these side quests to do, and it just really worked out. It's such a good. The remake is phenomenal.
Okay, make me want to play the remake now.
I think this one's hard to categorize then.
I mean, but based on what we're saying, especially with the remake and how well they did it, I almost feel like it kind of goes into still holds up today.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's kind of cheating maybe to say it with the remake, but if they found a way to make it fresh and it still kind of has the same feel and enjoyment factors even with the remake, because there's a lot of games that they'll make a remake and it just kind of makes you sad because all they do is a little facelift and it's really not that great. Like that's kind of how I feel about the Resident Evil 1 remake, where it's like they give it a facelift and it's nice, but at the same time there's a little bit of like, I mean, you know, so like I feel like with what we're saying, this one kind of goes into a still holds up today.
I agree with you, and I think that the original Dead Space from like the Xbox 360 era still holds up pretty well.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because like I say, I did replay it just on my own time not too long ago. It would have been before the remake, but I remember playing it and thinking like, this still looks good. Like this looks good. This is still fun. This feels good to play. It was good.
Remember the gravity usage in the first one, that the non-remake, how it's like you point and you fly to something?
Yeah.
And that's how it worked. They incorporated Dead Space 2's gravity into Dead Space 1 in the remake. So you could actually get up and fly around and control it a lot better. And they make that harder. I'd also tell you one other thing. Like, you know, when that, it's not so much a spoiler, but there's that point where that military ship comes in to help, but it ends up crashing into the Nishimura, and you suddenly have to deal with those ones that are freakishly fast.
Yeah.
You remember that part?
Oh, yeah.
The remake, that was the first time in a long time where I had to put down the controller. I'm like, okay, I gotta go check my pants, because it was absolutely intense. The remake, they made those guys just the scariest that they possibly could, and it was legit. I like games that do something for me. I know it's scary, and you know, it's not for everybody for sure, but that's one where I was like, pedal to the metal whole way.
You're really selling it. I'll have to maybe I'll have to play the remake.
As cut the episode off, I'm gonna go buy it and play it.
I'm gonna move on to the next one. If you guys are ready?
Yeah, let's do it. What's next?
So the next title is Rome Total War.
All right.
Ooh.
All right, Rome Total War. I nominated this one.
You introduced me to this one, I think, Scott.
Probably. It's a great game. I mean, if I'm going to immediately place it into a category, I'm probably going to put it into still holds up today. It's not a
Yeah.
game changer. I don't think it's nostalgia bait. It's an old game. It's not. It's let's see, probably came out in like 2006, 2005, something like that.
Uh,
But it's just a fun strategy game. It's not real time strategy like Age of Empires, Warcraft.
Except for except for the battles.
Yeah, that's true. But the battles are they're kind of like a mini game compared to like the grand strat. It's a grand strategy game.
mhm.
It's a lot of fun. However, the mechanics are kind of simple compared to, let's say, Civilization, for example, which personally I'm not a big fan of. I kind of liked just being able to raise up my giant barbarian army full of berserkers and then just have them swallow their Flyageric, go nuts. It was a blast. Yeah,
I'll say. I'll agree. It does scratch the Civ itch too, where like you can work on civilization and policy changes and growth in your governments and so forth. But then you also get that grand battle itch. That's kind of cool to watch. Like there's nothing quite like
in the title. You're in a state of total war. Civics take a backseat.
Yeah, I don't want no diplomacy in geopolitics.
They do have diplomacy, but actually the diplomacy stuff was notoriously broken. You could never like make reasonable allies in the game. It's built around the fact that you're trying to conquer the entire world. And your enemies are too.
I've seen you play games though like this. You say you can't have reasonable allies, but you're definitely the type of player like you get an ally simply so you can crush them later. That's how you play.
I think you're basing that off of our experience with Risk.
Yeah, maybe. I remember some boards getting flipped.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember exactly what happened along the way.
A proper game of Risk isn't a proper game of Risk until friendships are tested, if not broken.
And the board that's covered with little tiny pawns gets flipped.
Just like how a proper game of Monopoly includes at least one familial feud by the end of it.
I did not flip the board, but I will admit to folding the board up with the pieces still in.
That's what it was. You took. I remember you almost calmly though, because you went, "Okay, I'm done." You took both sides and you slapped it together like a big book.
Yep. Yeah, that definitely happened.
That's outstanding.
That's what it was.
That one's. I think it goes and still holds up today. It's not nostalgia bait. It's not like a shitty game that I just love.
Yeah.
No offense, that's tricky.
I've never played Rome Total War, which I know probably has just made me a target of many people saying that I haven't properly played games. But I know
you should definitely try it.
Yeah, I know a handful of people who still to this day will play Rome Total War. So I without even having played it, I will say like, yeah, I think that one still holds up today. So we'll put that in there. Heck yeah.
And it's got like a reskin, like basically a texture upgrade, so it looks better now. And if you already have it, you can buy it for half price.
Nice.
And there's a couple other versions out there, right? Not versions, but like editions, like not Rome Total War, but there's I can't remember.
There's Rome 2 Total War, which is let's see, that's from 2013 or 2014. So it's a little newer. That's also a great game.
Nice.
All right. Well, I'm ready for the next one if you boys are.
Do it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Final Fantasy VII.
Final Fantasy VII. Okay.
So I'm going to let you guys talk about this one because once again, my allergy to JRPGs is.
I actually have not played Final Fantasy VII. I'm woefully unversed in most of the Final Fantasy world.
Clearly, I submitted this one.
Yeah,
could be.
This is. I mean, out of the Final Fantasy games, which are many of them now.
What are they on? Like 14, 15 by now?
I think it could be argued that Final Fantasy VII is the most well-known.
I would agree with that. I hear the most about Final Fantasy VII whenever there's like any discussion about best games or anything.
I would argue there are reasons for that. I mean, all of them have good stories that I am aware of that I've tried, But this, you got what they were able to really tie in something really unique with this one, not just with the mechanics of the combat, which was unique compared to all the other ones. Yeah, like this combat bar that would time up in time. So it felt like a turn-based RPG, but at real time, because things happened as this bar of energy would go up, then suddenly some character would be able to move. So things are happening live in front of you. It's not exactly turn-based. If you had a higher speed, it would go faster.
Okay.
So the battles were cool. Learning abilities was totally, it was it was a pioneer of the time. It broke the mold when it came out. In terms of being able to level up your characters. But why I put it on there, I mean, you got probably, arguably, one of the best bad guys in video game history.
Everyone's heard of Sephiroth. Everyone's heard
of Sephiroth. If you have a song, and when you think about PS1 when it first came out, I remember being a kid, because I didn't play a ton of games as a kid. I'd always go to a friend's house and watch it. And I had a friend that sat me down and made me watch this game from beginning to end. And this was one of the first games that had a chorus of voices. And when a song comes on with big bump, 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 everyone knows One Winged Angel. You hear those voices coming through at the pixel level, but they're real voices. You're like, this dude's a bad dude. And you have to fight this guy, and he's also at that point kind of has gotten to him. He's more than a god in the game. He's kind of the fabric of time. So you're fighting something grand here. But more than just the bad guy, and everyone knows Cloud, the main guy.
Yep.
Everyone knows the battle there. Even people that haven't played Final Fantasy are kind of familiar, because these guys have gone on to be in Super Smash Bros. Now and Kingdom Hearts.
I remember some of them from Soul Calibur too.
Soul Calibur. All the characters from Cloud Strife to Tifa Lockhart to Aerith, just every single. I pause on Aerith because everyone kind of knows where that goes. But
Aerith and Tifa, Reddit is certainly familiar with both of them.
Well, yeah, they go crazy there. But if you actually go into their story, it's each one's got layers. Every one of them's got layers, and they each have their own theme, fully orchestral. Like, just everything is so deep down to the music. Sephiroth has a theme that's not just One Winged Angel. And he's also a misunderstood once good guy who is now trying to take over the universe in a sense that he thinks he's saving it. So, like, it's just sorry, that's a dog chiming in. Ampersand. But then the remake comes out, which just further, there's another one where the remake, once you play it, I would probably put this one in the category it still holds up. But the remake, I don't know. I feel like it has to go higher than that. The music won tons of awards. The graphics are next level.
Well, I don't know. This is a game that came out, and I'm thinking the original came out in 1999, if I'm remembering correctly.
And if you go back and if you try to play the original, which is still good, but I couldn't. I'm one of the probably few fans of this one that would say that the graphics do not hold up anymore. I mean,
I was going to say, I think it goes in Game Changer, given that it's kind of the quintessential JRPG.
I was going to say, I feel like there can be a case for Game Changer for a lot of the reasons you're outlining, because the thing is a lot of the things that you're outlining, talking about how it kind of revolutionized some combat stuff, how it kind of revolutionized the way they were doing music in games and stuff at that time. Like, even without having played it, I recognize those points you're making as like pretty factual statements, that it's like, yeah, no, that's what this game is known for. So I would say that there's a perfectly reasonable case for that.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if we're going to put 007 in there.
Let's put, I agree. I think it goes in Game Changer. It's not my cup of tea. No JRPG is, but admittedly, it's I
have to be in such a specific mood for JRPGs. I like them, but I have to be in a very specific mood for them.
Yeah, I would have to have a brain transplant for it. But anyway, let's put it in Game Changer.
The remake, just to add to it real fast too, like if you in the original game, the remake, the first, it's being split up. It's not even done yet. Like they have 2 of 3 parts done now in one game for one old game.
Insane.
The first remake, they turned a 15-minute prologue into an 80-hour plus game, and they did it successfully.
Good Lord!
Like really, really, really well. really, 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 really well.
The
There's-
remakes have been really well received, so yeah, there's no
I'm gonna
doubt.
say that's
Yeah.
just that Ignore video game. That's an amazing writing achievement right there.
Yeah, they be able to add depth to every little, because the first boss in the intro for the original game maybe takes you all but a minute. And this one, it's a boss with 3 different phases. That first
Awesome.
boss, and it's like got this great, everything's so orchestral and huge, and real live orchestras playing it. You feel like you're at the end of the game.
Yeah.
They did a really good job, and the storytelling and being able to tie music to a character and really make you feel something just by hearing some tunes, even if the character's not on screen. You understand what's about to happen or what is happening because the theme is playing. They do a really good job of hitting that home.
Man, Cody, I'm going to have you start doing intros for all of the games I ever plan to do on my channel, because you're making me want to play every game you're talking about.
All right, guys, I'm gonna draw
more
out
awake this time than last time.
There we go.
I'm gonna draw out the next title if you guys are ready for it.
Do it.
All right.
Even that
Next title is Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Oblivion. Okay, that was yours, wasn't it, Scott?
Yeah, I nominated this one.
Yeah.
I fucking love. Oh, sorry. You can bleep that out later, Scott. Sorry
I
about
won't,
that.
but it's fine. This isn't monetized anyway. I'm not famous enough for
I
that.
love Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
I'm not famous yet.
It's one of my favorite games. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's got the goofy, blocky-headed figures. I mean,
It really
you guys
does.
remember the terrible dialogue, the zooming in right on their faces.
I
should
should
stay
see
off the
everything
road.
you're talking about, and it's so true. There's something
should
so
stay off the
campy and
road.
amazing about it.
It's the Daedra.
And then I took an arrow to the knee.
Oh, well, that's Skyrim.
That was
Cody, come
Skyrim.
on. Anyway, this is just a classic for me. It does not hold up. It does not at all.
What's the soldier like? Halt! You violated the law. That's Oblivion.
I was
right?
gonna say, I would say, yeah, like immediately thinking of, because we put in Skyrim, and it still holds up today. Which again, that one's almost cheating, because they just keep remaking it.
Oblivion does not hold up. It's got to go in either nostalgia bait or personal favorite.
I would give it nostalgia bait, because I think there's a very large contingent of people that would agree with you that it's like it by today's standards it's horrible, but I still love it. So like I would
so much fun.
put it in there, because like the thing is, for me, I mean, I put in Skyrim because for me, like that was the first one I was kind of like really, really into, but I can still remember playing Oblivion and being like, this game is insane. What is happening as I was playing it?
Yeah, in fact, I think you and I played that a little bit together in college before Skyrim was released.
Yeah.
But no, the combat is god awful by today's standards.
Oh yeah.
I mean, do you remember like with the two-handed swords, you're just kind of swishing it back and forth like you're like it's an old woman hitting some kids with a broom. It's ridiculous.
That is such a good description of it. Yeah, and it's like it's the type of game that has the sound effects that are not the same speed as like the thing being swung. So like you'll see the thing being swung at like a rate of like swish, but then the noise is like whoosh, whoosh, as like this thing is slowly going by.
What I really appreciate about Oblivion, especially, is like I feel like it was the first one. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. That to the fans, kind of normalized the fact that glitches are okay.
Oh yeah.
They are a feature.
Oh yeah, like I talk about that on my channel all the time. I miss the days when, like, if there was something weird and buggy about a game, they didn't patch it out. They just left it there, and that was like part of the game. I miss those days. And this game, and like Oblivion is like, it's such a good example of exactly why I love that, because the insanity that glitches induce are so good. It's the same with like the super jumps in Halo 2. Like those were absolutely hilarious if you could nail those down and then just like be it with a sniper rifle outside of the map just pegging people. Like so good.
Now, besides all the goofy stuff, you actually do end up with a game that is just a lot of fun to explore.
Oh yeah.
The scenery is quite beautiful, although it is blocky and pixelated by today's standard, but it's just a fun.
I mean, for the time it was something else too.
It was. I mean, it came out nearly 20 years ago, guys. It came out in 2006.
I just grew 17 gray hairs. Thank you.
If you want to really feel old, But yeah, I'll always love that game. I'll never be sick of it.
I'll always hold on to like an NPC running up to me like saying something like, what was it? I think it was one of the mailmen, one of the couriers, who's just like, "Here's a letter for you. I must be going now." And then he like sinks slowly into the ground and then disappears.
I think
His head might twitch off of his shoulders a couple of times as he
Pay the
sinks.
court a fine or serve your sentence. Your stolen goods are now forfeit.
Yes.
Perfect.
It's just someone will just glitch into the kind of Homer Simpson into the hedge style. They'll just all of a sudden think and they're gone.
That's exactly right.
So good.
All right. I'm gonna pull out the next name.
Do it. What's next?
Okay. Oh, the next one is Fallout 3 in the same vein of games.
All right. I definitely submitted this one. I don't know if anyone else did.
I did too. I absolutely love Fallout 3.
I feel like we all might have.
It might have been. It's so good. I love Fallout 3. So like, for all of the love that, Elder Scrolls gets, for me, I've always been more of a sci-fi guy, the sci guy, if you will. Fallout 3 was just the perfect blend of, the Bethesda style Elder Scrolls big world to explore while being more of like, a sci-fi type of setting, a sci-fi type of game. And so I can remember this. Scott, you'll remember this, especially in college. Me playing this, like that was my first year in college, and I devoted so many hours to this game in my free time that year of college. And you were my guide. I didn't purchase a guide. I didn't go online for a guide. I just asked you.
You didn't need one.
Yeah, it wasn't like I want any viewers here to understand. I'm not saying like Scott knew and could be like, oh, I think you want to maybe go talk to this one guy. No, he'd be like, you want to talk to this guy. He's in the upper left quadrant of the A7 sector on the map. You want to go up there and you want to talk to him, but you got to make sure you do it at this time of day, because if you don't do it at this time of day, he won't say the line that you need him to say. Like, it was that level of detail, and it was such an incredible experience playing it with that as my guide.
Friends, I put in a shameful amount of hours into this game. It's just a crazy game.
It is.
It's goofy. It's weird. It's weird.
It's unhinged in the best way.
It has a bunch of weird glitches to it, but every little thing you come across, there's something weird and fun to come across in that game. And I think it's a game that everyone can play. It's
definitely one with like the random encounters, like going into bathrooms, going into random, like you walk into that bathroom, there are 2 mannequins in the bathtub and there's a skeleton on the tub with a beer. Like, something happened here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the storytelling in the world just through setting. Absolutely astounding. Absolutely astounding. Like the number of times that you'd walk into a building and even just like simply you would just see a skeleton and a toaster sitting in a bathtub and you're like, oh no, oh buddy. That's too bad.
It's not a high piece of art like our other nominees for Everyone Must Play.
Oh yeah.
It's not a game changer. Lots of games did their stuff before.
Yep.
It does not still hold up today.
No.
It's dated. It's freaking dated.
Yeah.
Always remember that there's the vault with the Garys.
Yeah,
Gary. Say their name.
Gary.
I don't think it deserves to go in nostalgia bait or personal favorite either, because it's a really fun game, and I think everybody
I agree. I think everyone should play this one just because, like you say, it's not the big, grand artistic accomplishment that the other ones are, but it's because it highlights one of the other most important aspects of video games, which is just the sheer unadulterated fun that a game can be. I think that puts it up there, and I want to also just kind of call out also as a side note, New Vegas, because I feel like there's a pretty common debate about whether Fallout 3 or New Vegas was like the superior one. I feel like generally speaking, people tend to cite Vegas as like the superior game, but at least as many people say, but I still like Fallout 3 better. It's like that meme from Top Gear or whatever their show was, right? When he was like, this is brilliant, but I like this. And it's
true.
It's one of
true.
those ones. And in my head, just because the two are so similar, like they almost feel like they could be DLCs of each other. Like when you have all the DLCs of Fallout 3 that take you to different parts of the world, New Vegas to me almost feels like it could just be one of those because they are so similar in
There's
how
a
they
mod
play.
for that. There's a mod for that, my friend. Do yourself a favor and look up Tale of Two Wastelands.
Ah, jeez. Guess I'm going to have to play Fallout 3 again. What a shame.
I can literally hear the sleeves rolling up.
It merges the game. It merges the games
all right,
together.
Guys, episode's done. I got some downloading to do.
But yeah,
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up I always remember that too, Scott. Like how you were like telling me about that. I think we already talked about this, but you were telling me all about Fallout 3 in school, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then I came across it in the wild before you did. And I'm like, I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah, I'll never forgive you for that.
And I came to school and I was like, oh, I was playing this game and I made it to this part. And I just remember you sitting on the other side of the table looking at me like, you what?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible.
I bought it out of a whim on what you were talking about. I didn't think I'd actually like it, but it was amazing.
It's a great game.
So
New Vegas is definitely more refined, kind of more perfected, I guess. It takes itself more seriously.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the thing with New Vegas is like it drifts further into like a better storytelling and artistic achievement like the other ones up there. But Fallout 3, like in a lot of ways, it's almost like Fallout 3 was the tech demo for New Vegas. Right, where it's like Fallout 3 was just like the goofy, we're gonna slap some crap together and just go nuts, you goofballs. And then Fallout New Vegas was them being like, all right, we got proof of concept here. Let's put something real to this.
I think it took itself a little bit too seriously, but it definitely delved more into like true RPG aspects. Whereas Fallout 3, it's not really an RPG.
Oh yeah, it is like the most superficial RPG.
Like the stories were good. You had Liam Neeson. You had
that's true. It did have Liam Neeson. It did have Daddy Taken in it. So
the story's a little bit goofy. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, no, it's well, like here's what I'll say. I remember the story and I appreciated the story, but when I think about Fallout 3, I don't think about how much I enjoyed the story.
Exactly. Right. That's the point. It's still great on its own merits.
Yeah, I think everyone should play it just for the sheer fun of it. And like the thing is too is Fallout 4. Like I know Fallout 4 when it came out had some kind of mixed receptions based on things. I loved Fallout 4. But really Fallout 4 to me felt like just we're going to give you a little more Fallout 3 because we know you loved Fallout 3, and so it just didn't quite have the same magic to me as Fallout 3 did.
I agree with that. It didn't have the magic.
I agree too. Yeah, I agree too. I did like the weapon modding and stuff. Like I liked what you could do with yourself better in 4 than in 3. But
that's
3 is always going to be 3.
Yeah, there's some sort of there's some level of whimsy in 3 that just hasn't really been achieved in any of the subsequent ones, I don't think.
It's excellent. I'll be playing it regularly until I'm an old man.
Oh, absolutely. Especially on PC when you can mod it so you can get all of the graphics improvements.
Oh,
and stuff
hell
like
yeah.
that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next up
I just need to remake that one as much as Skyrim. Then I'd be happy.
Yeah, you know what? I'd buy that.
It should make more.
Well, the thing is, the Skyrim remakes are basically just very cheap reskims. They're not really remakes at all. But anyway.
Right, yeah.
Mass Effect 2 is next.
Mass Effect 2. Oh, I know I put this one on my list. I think I'm not the only one though.
No,
I was gonna say we have finally hit a game that I don't know anything about.
I know a lot about it. I really like this game.
Oh yeah, I played the ever-loving poop out of this game. I
love this game, but I did not nominate it, so I'll let you start, Scott.
I love Mass Effect, the Mass Effect series, and I know I'm not alone in the world for saying that. Mass Effect for me, again, I've always been a huge sci-fi fan. Some people are into fantasy, some people are into horror. I've been into sci-fi. I love space. I love the idea of whatever weird, magical, whimsical wonders exist out there in the stars. I've always been a big fan of space, and Mass Effect in general, as a franchise, I think nailed down one of my favorite things about space, which is just that it is so big and there are so many unknowns that all kinds of weird, wacky, grand things can happen, and you just don't really know what to expect of that. And I think the Mass Effect series with dealing with all of the shoot, I'm gonna blank on their names, but the villains that are coming in through through their
the Reapers.
yeah, Reapers. Thank you. Yes. Dealing with the Reapers and all that kind of stuff, just like this big, like not just otherworldly, like other realm, type of creature that kind of comes in, and it's this thing that you have to fight, and like the growing evidence that it's like this isn't just something that's happening now. This is a cycle that has been repeated, for eternity and will be repeated for eternity. Like the fact that like the marriage of that kind of thing, which is very much a kind of on the surface a fantasy type of trope, right, where there's like realms and the histories are doomed to repeat themselves, right, but then to throw it into the concept of science fiction, I'm a huge fan of. And I chose Mass Effect 2 because...
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that. There's a reason.
Yeah, like Mass Effect 2, I think, is the strongest... the strongest component of the standard 3, and I know Andromeda's out there, and I know there's probably a lot of sour. I was going to say there's a lot of sourness about it. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was goofy. I did not expect it to be as good as the original, so I enjoyed it in its weird, glitched, goofy way. But aside from that, of the three standard three original Mass Effects, the original trilogy, there, I think 2 is the strongest one because I think. With 1, it was an early idea. They hadn't been able to test things, so it was very unrefined in a lot of ways. There were a lot of very clumsy things. Trying to drive the vehicle, the Mako, I think is what it was called. Mako. Yeah, trying to drive that thing in Mass Effect 1. One of the most insane things. I had fun with it because it was so insane. Like driving an out of control RC car. It was insane. Mass Effect 2 refined all that, awful. But the thing that Mass Effect 2 had going for it, and why I think it's the strongest one, is it didn't have to have an ending. The whole point of it was that it was setting up the ending, which means that all of the choices that you could make in there could remain like the branching nature of things. Like with... It's hard with video games, and actually, Scott, you and I were kind of talking about this before we started recording with Baldur's Gate. It's hard with video games to truly have an open-ended, choice-driven ending, because the fact of the matter is, it is one complete product that there's only so much you can do with it. And when Mass Effect 3 came out and they had the ending, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, because the differences in the endings. Like I never had a problem with it because I saw the ending, like the difference in the endings, quote unquote, was the context of the story and the decisions you made leading up to it. And I think there's value in considering that when considering an ending. Like it doesn't just have to be like, oh, it was all the same ending. It's like yes and no. But at any rate, like Mass Effect 2 didn't even have to have that argument, because Mass Effect 2, since it was just setting up the final act of the whole story at large, could really just be like, yeah, whatever choices you want to make, like that will just depend on which characters and side quests and all that kind of stuff you have available in 3. So it gave you the option. You could end up with like basically just a full-blown wipe of your team, or you could have all of them or any combination of things based on your choices. And so I think because of that, it nailed down, like it really nailed the free choice aspect that it was trying to give you, while also just having an awesome setting. And with 2, they were able to refine what 1 started, and so it really had a strong combat system that was fun to play. It had some good exploration options with going to different planets and kind of doing some almost dungeon crawl aspects of it when you're going around. It did a lot of things right, and it didn't have the struggles that 3 did of trying to close off a big storyline that everyone had huge expectations for.
That's a good point. That's a good way of putting it. 1 is an excellent story. I mean, the whole concept of Mass Effect is that it's kind of like a grand science fiction story. Yeah. Huge amount of lore. Yeah. It's got an extended universe with novels, of which I've read quite a few. Yeah. It's great. The story's amazing. What 1 suffered from is the combat was just god awful. I mean, it's some of the worst combat I've ever played in a game.
Very clunky, very uncomfortable to use.
There were tight hallways. Like you couldn't shoot what you were trying to freaking shoot. Yeah. And it was all the same enemy. It was just a bunch of Geth. That's it. Just tons and tons of Geth. Yeah. And it felt like you were firing a damn Nerf gun at your enemies.
Oh yeah.
it was like pinging them, but just bouncing. That's the best way I can think of describing the way that the combat feels. The way I feel like you should play Mass Effect 1 is just set it down to the easiest difficulty, so you just blow your way.
Yeah.
So you can just enjoy the story, because it's not worth playing for the combat.
Yeah.
2, on the other hand, is actually a pretty refined shooter.
Yeah.
In addition to being a very fun story.
Playing 1 anymore these days is really just to set up so you can have a good save file going into 2.
And it's a good story, the first game.
Yeah,
I will not call Mass Effect an RPG. I refuse. It's an action game with RPG elements. But you know, there's a ton of games on our list that you can call that. Mass Effect 2. I think if I was to say which one is my favorite, I'd probably say Mass Effect 3, despite the discordance in the controversy surrounding the ending.
Right.
I really like Mass Effect 3.
I think that's fair. I think as from a gameplay aspect, actually, I probably had more fun playing Mass Effect 3. Because they continued to, as far as I'm concerned, kind of capitalize on what was already a strong shooter in Mass Effect 2, and they learned the right lessons from that, refined the right parts of it, and built up a stronger game.
2 is excellent, and it really improved everything so much. I think this one should go in Game Changer. Personally,
I feel that way, but as the one that nominated, I'm always hesitant to make that claim. Same with everyone must play necessarily, but with a vote of confidence, and I'm willing to add it there. Because the other thing about it too is I think it's one of the rare examples. I think that, like I say, because there wasn't the controversy of like, oh well, the ending did it or did it not deliver what was promised. Because it didn't have that, I think it's one of the few examples of one that does the whole like your choices can impact the game. I think it's one of the top examples of successfully doing that. I think it succeeds to a level that most games that try to succeed at that fail. So I would put it up there in Game Changer for that reason personally.
It's great. I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit it.
Yeah.
That was fun. I was great listening to you guys.
Cody.
I kind of kept myself going on that one. Yeah, you guys gave me a platform and a microphone, and I ran with it.
I think my problem, and maybe I'm sure you guys could talk me out of it if we had more time to dwell on one, but I've always thought about it. And I did Persona 4, which is a game that's all about decisions and how you're going to do stuff that'll affect the end of the game. But whenever I pick up a game like that, I'm like, I'm stressed. Yeah, I know that there's the best way to play.
Yes, and this is not like, for example, I'm trying to think of a good example. Another nominee coming up, Knights of the Old Republic, where there's an obviously evil option and an obviously good option. It's more ambiguous, which is a good thing. I think it makes for good role playing.
Yeah. I feel like Mass Effect has a pretty good job of making it clear which one's the Paragon or Renegade options, as they call it. They do a pretty good job of making it clear for those ones, although there are a few instances like when you punch the reporter that, like, for me, I was like, oh, geez, we're assaulting someone now. Okay.
Well, I'm talking about like the Krogan, like the Krogan genophage decision.
Oh, yeah.
The decision about whether or not to genocide the bug people.
I can't remember
what the bugs are called. Yeah, you heard right, Cody. Yeah. Punching a reporter.
Right. I've lived that life.
I know you get to be like you get to role play as a fascist if you want to. But
in any case, I've never wanted anything more.
There's a game that we should talk about in the future called Disco Elysium, where that comes up. But
you know that game.
I'll table that. I'm ready to bring out the next nomination. Yeah, you guys are. All right, the next one is Monster Hunter Freedom 2.
All right. So that'll be one of both of you guys.
I think I submitted.
I think, you know what, Cody? I can't remember if I nominated Monster Hunter Freedom or Monster Hunter Freedom 2. We may as well just discuss both of them right now.
I'm probably just going to say Monster Hunter as a whole.
Yeah, let's discuss all of them.
We also have Monster Hunter Rise on the list, too.
Yeah, we should just discuss these together because they're all similar.
We can do it. We'll just do Monster Hunter in general. And we can put Rise and Freedom both on there. We can do that. That makes sense.
We'll just put them together.
I wanted to bring up the ones where you can actually go underwater because there's like a whole new element to that. And I couldn't there's a lot to talk about.
I think that's only in World, which was not nominated.
No, not World. It's not World. It's right before it. I can't remember.
Well,
but the Lagia Crus is the one big thing that you can swim after. There's a few other underwater ones, but
talking about Unite.
Maybe.
Well,
it's hard to keep track of them all.
Well, in any case, it wasn't nominated, and the only reason for that is that these are some of the titles that I've played. There's so many Monster Hunter titles.
And why I landed on 2 because Freedom was the one that kind of got it injected into our bloodstream.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Monster Hunter Freedom is probably the classic one for me.
I had to go 2 because it's like just as good as Freedom, but they introduced some of those monsters that really are just like Hydra. They're really good monsters that had their own music, that had such cool mechanics. I don't know. I had to go in the Daimyo Hermitory. Had some weird ones that were in there.
So for the uninitiated, I think we should explain the game. For those who don't know, Monster Hunter, you basically there's very little story involved. It's all about just having fun, kicking ass, and killing monsters.
Yeah.
Pardon my
As
French.
a team.
It's like a fantasy version of just like getting one of those like Cabela Deer Hunter games. Like you're just going out there, you got your mark, you got to go hunting.
Everything's kind of a boss fight.
Yeah, but killing dragons instead of killing actual animals.
Yeah,
and
dragons, monkeys that throw their poop at you, like giant crabs, giant water monsters, like all sorts of stuff. Now in the newer ones, sand serpents, mud sharks, like you have all these things that rock dragons, giant four-legged mountains with scales, like it's just there's all these, and we have a large range of weapons. Like someone can be a great sword. I mean, there's nothing better than going up against a dragon with a sword that's 3 times larger than your character, being able to swing it around like a tree, while someone else is off to the side playing music off of a horn that makes you stronger, while someone else is beating the thing with a giant hammer and another one's poking it in the butt with a long pokey stick. So there's all this is happening in one environment.
Yeah.
And it's just the multiplayer was good. Solo was good too, but when you had a good team, I remember there's really fond memories of seeing Scott or someone or myself just get railroaded by this giant thing while someone else is doing really good and someone's flying across the screen.
Yeah, I played Monster Hunter World. I played that one a fair bit.
Good game.
Like Monster Hunter has never been like for me a top tier just because I'm not much of a multiplayer gamer. That said, playing Monster Hunter multiplayer online with because I used that heavily during COVID, actually, Monster Hunter World. I used that heavily during COVID to keep in touch with some of my grad school friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And like it's just like you say, like even with it not being like a personal top tier game, like there's some solidly good memories of trying to fight some like crazy insane monster up in a tree and then just watching my buddy just get absolutely hucked off the tree, and it's like, all right, well, I guess he's out of the fight.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. No story, and some of the cheesiest dialogue you'll ever encounter.
Definitely for anyone, and especially Rise. Rise is still probably my favorite.
It's very cheesy, But you don't play it for the story.
Be ready for Japanese cheese, not just cheese. Japanese cheese.
It's a very specific flavor, a very specific blend of cheese, if you will.
It's not from a cow. It's not from a goat. It's not even from a pig. It's from an animal you've never heard of.
It's usually from a cat, or now a dog, but it's usually going to be from a cat. And a Palico.
The Palicos, that's the other thing too. Honorable mention to the Palicos, especially Monster Hunter World, by pure happenstance. So when I was playing that one, actually, when it first came out was before COVID, right? Like World was like 17 or something like that. And when it first came out, it actually came out. Or, well, I guess I shouldn't say when it came out. When I first started playing it was pretty much immediately after I had to put down my childhood cat because she just had some organ failure, and like that's just how it went. And the Palicos, like I started playing the game and I was like, oh, I get a little cat companion. I started scrolling through the skins, and I am not joking when I say that the Calico Palico pattern was so darn close to my Calico Kitty that I had just put down. So I still have the save file with that Palico that I named Bella, and it was like one of the, like, it was a borderline emotional thing for me. I was like, she can still go adventuring with me forever.
Yeah. God, you remember my Palico, right?
Remind me.
From this day on, in every version that you could have Palicos, I had Fonzie.
Oh yeah, of course.
That was like my childhood cat too.
Yeah.
So I feel that.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked really similar. A white flame tip fluffy Siamese.
Aww.
So Fonzie, and they really did a good job. But just offside of that too, like you can have this because I think they finally figured out like it's great playing the game alone because sometimes you might not have someone to play it with, but you just can't fight things like the Fatalis alone, or like there are certain monsters in this game that are just so beyond hard that you just cannot do it alone, that they gave you a buddy. Like they do have, it doesn't really quite do the job as another player, but at least the thing doesn't focus on just you the whole time.
Yeah.
And so they kind of opened that up a little bit. And I've just heard, I haven't played it yet, but I have just heard wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things about Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, it sounds like that is amazing. The one that literally just came out a few days ago.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds, it's on the list to try.
I feel like I've heard a lot of stories of like servers crashing just because of the sheer volume of people playing it.
True. Yeah,
but so like, I always consider that a good sign because you know, some people will be like, oh, why can't they get their servers in order? It's like, well, if you have such a huge flood of people playing it that it crashes the servers, it's kind of a good thing because that means that everyone wants to play this game.
Yeah, it was P2P. I guess I'm remembering it incorrectly, but
it could be. I think it also is. Yeah.
I think this one should go and still holds up to gate. These games are just really fun.
I'll put all three really of the Monster Hunters that we have because we're just kind of talking them as about them as a group. There, we'll put them all in there.
They might even deserve Game Changer because I can't think of any other game.
I was gonna say we got three of them to toss around. Let's put like which one's the oldest of these ones? Is it Freedom?
Monster Hunter Freedom.
Yeah, we'll put that one in Game Changer because then the rest of them rode on that one's coattails, so to speak.
Monster Hunter Freedom was a port of a PlayStation 2 game, which was just Monster Hunter.
Okay, gotcha.
It's a PSP game.
Gotcha.
I've never played the PS1 game. I only ever played the PSP game.
That was the first time when that game came out. I was a child, or I was younger. I was probably early high school, not a child. But I had never heard of Monster Hunter before, and I saw it and I needed to have it. Just saw it looked awesome. The concept was great. I kept trying to convince friends to get it too because I realized you needed multiplayer, or you didn't need it, but it would be great to have it. And it just looked so amazing in every way. And it was just
Monster Hunter is one of those games where if it had a slightly more robust single player option, I feel like I would get really involved in it because the thing that's hard for me is just the way my life is scheduled. It is so hard for me to find chunks of time that work with other people to all of us sit down and play a game together because just the concept of being able to go out and hunt and fight dragons just like kind of on a whim, just be like I feel like doing like hunting a dragon, and it's like being able to sit down and just do that. If it was just a bit more robust for a single player thing so that I could just like sit down on my own, and have fun doing that. Like there was a bit more something, maybe if there was a bit more of a story mode option or something like that, I feel like it would really, really scratch a lot of itches for me because it comes so close. And as far as a multiplayer goes, it's one of my favorite ones to play.
I know not in the story sense, but I think they did scratch that better in Rise.
Did they?
Because there's just so much more to do. Yeah, I think they did. I mean, they opened it up once, so it's not there's still the zones on the map, but it's all connected, so there aren't loading screens.
Where are we? So I think let's see, Game Changer and still holds up today. Yeah, I think that'll about do it.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of those games we could probably talk forever on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could talk a lot about
this game. Let's how are we doing on time? We've been here for a little shy of an hour. What do you say we try and get like maybe 2 more in so that way we're like a pretty solid third of the way through the list and we can get it all done in one more?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Next up is Super Mario 64.
Oh, I know I would have nominated this one. I don't know if anyone else would have.
I did too. This one could go. Oh my goodness! It's got to at least be game changer.
Yeah.
At least just because when that game came out, look at what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably arguably the one that changed everything into 3D.
Yeah.
It was the big kickoff into what things could become.
Yeah, it's like the 3D platformer. It brought, I mean, just the way it revolutionized Mario in general. I mean, how many side-scrolling Marios have ever come out in the years since Mario 64 came out, right? Like, there's like...
The music is iconic, the bosses are iconic,
yeah.
the level... everyone remembers the levels
and they created so much variety in it too. You have some levels where you're doing like races on a slide, you know, down like in these little mini game sections. You're doing like boss battles where you're like flinging guys off of the stuff. You're still running around jumping on Koopas and stuff. Like there's just so much happening in the game. And like I think what's so cool about it is they incorporated all of that in such a clever way by having you be in a castle that just has paintings that you go into. It's like what a smooth excuse to have such a wide variety of environments to go through with this single character.
Yeah.
This is one where I once again suffer from not being able to play. I didn't play a video game until I was almost like 10 years old, at least not my own.
Well,
so
same,
I never.
Same. This was one where I didn't either. And I remember my parents got it. And this was the first entry into this. Like, we would watch it. And my mom and my dad, together at the time, they would have a stopwatch. And they would be, like, timing each other out and who could beat this level fastest, who could get Bowser out the fastest. And it was like, it kind of became part of a patch. Like if you were to take a life and make it a quilt, it was a patch of it. Like those memories of them playing that game, because it was just, it changed everything. You saw it in ads, saw it in stores everywhere. It was literally on the first Nintendo 64 box that came out. It was the flagship game for the Nintendo 64.
Yeah,
I will definitely agree with Game Changer, like solely because it was like the iconic 3D game.
Yeah.
And all others after it stood on the shoulder of giants, which was Super Mario 64. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I think Game Changer is a good one. I'm tempted to put it under everyone must play, but the thing about it is I do recognize that because of how much games have advanced, and because that was like the first one as far as like anyone's radar is there to do the 3D. It's clunky to play. They have re-released it on the Switch, which makes it a little bit better. But it is a clunky game to play these days.
The DS, I wish they found a way to get the DS one out again, because the DS added stuff.
Oh, did it?
It added. You could play as Yoshi, Luigi, and Wario too.
Oh, yeah. So I never played the DS version.
It added 30 more stars because there were whole side rooms that those other characters only could go in. And so there was a King Goomba boss, and for example, the DS version just. I wish they would do that one again, because I just tried it recently on my little emulator thing, and it was like, whoa, this, it's just as good as the original. It just has more.
Yeah. No, it's such a good game. I guess I would say there's an argument to be made of everyone must play just for the sheer history of it. Kind of the same as like people would say, oh, everyone has to go to the go to the Aerospace Museum in DC, right? Just because of the sheer history of it, like from a gaming standpoint, there's so much history behind that game that I would say like everyone should experience it just so you can like see kind of where things started. But I think Game Changer is a better fit for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Game Changer.
Yeah. All right, give us another one. We got time for at least one more.
Okay. The next one I have is Dark Souls 3.
Oh, okay. Which, I know that one's yours, Scott.
Yeah, I nominated this one. So, this is probably my absolute favorite of the FromSoft games. I'm a FromSoft fanatic, as you guys know.
Yeah, like I'm coining this term, minted and coined, but everyone else in the world is free to use it. I'm calling Scott here a From Softie. I think that should be the proper term for any FromSoft fanboy, a From Softie. But anyways, please continue. I just wanted to put that out there, put my mark in history.
From Softie sounds like a dessert that's served at a fast food restaurant.
It does. I would eat it. It's like, and if you don't eat it fast enough, you die.
I feel like both of us were, I don't want to say dragged along because that makes it sound like we didn't want to play, but both of us were taken by Scott through this game.
No, dragged along is the proper term. I wanted you guys to experience this with me.
You definitely are the one that like introduced me to the concept of loving these games. It took me a couple tries to warm up to FromSoft. It took the first time I was like, I am not into how hard this is. The next time I tried it, I was like, you know what, I get it, but this is a little more for me. And then like the third time I tried, I think it was Dark Souls 3, I started getting into it. I was like, you know what? I get it now. And so it just like, I don't know if it was like coffee where I just had to slowly expose myself until eventually I had the acquired taste, or maybe I just had to be in the right place in my life and my desires for games. But it did eventually happen, and now I'm a big fan of it. I'm playing Elden Ring on the channel, and I love it. I love it.
It's an acquired taste, that's for sure.
Yeah.
This is a game that I actually ventured from Monster Hunter to play because I was trying to scratch that Monster Hunter itch. Like big,
I see that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Really tough enemies, like very compelling. What's the word I'm looking for? A lot of finesse involved with the actual fighting, not just your typical hack and slash game. Monster Hunter had kind of had that, and the Souls series had it to an even bigger. Dark Souls 3 was my first entry into the From Software world. I played it in 2016, like maybe a couple months after it first came out, and I hated it at first. I was like, God, this sucks. This is just difficult for the sake of being difficult. I put it down for a year. And didn't touch it. I didn't get past the high wall of Lothric. And then when I came back to it, it was about a year later. I was like, I'm going to give this a proper chance. And that it's become one of my favorite games of
it makes me wonder too, like we were talking about this before we started with like Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. The thing with Dark Souls and FromSoft games in general is there's such a what's the word I'm looking for? There's such a sort of like cult classic love for these games. Like there are so many people who have like so many good things to say about this, who sing the praises, from the tops of mountains of these games, that if you're unfamiliar and you go into it, there's no way for a game to live up to the expectations you have. Because like you go into it thinking like this game is going to change my world, and then 7 minutes in, it's like you've died 20 times and you're like, what is going on? And it doesn't do it. Whereas then when you return to it, it's like, okay, you know what you're in for, you know what to expect out of it, and so you go into it without these big grand expectations, and instead go in there expecting nothing but what it is, and that's when it clicks.
It is one of those things with a high learning curve, and then it does click. Dark Souls 3, in the Dark Souls genre, and the whole series in general has some of the best world building and lore. It is not storytelling. It is not storytelling at all.
That's what I've been wanting. I would like to throw out there that.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
When I'm playing this game, or when we're going through and being quote unquote dragged along by Scott's, through all of these, that he'll point at like, oh, you want to know a little bit of lore? Like Scott knows.
Yeah.
This is just tomes of. It's not like a pamphlet. We're talking like it's big leather bound dusty.
I'm imagining Gandalf when he's researching the ring, just like surrounded by scrolls, studying these things.
34, the second age.
Like, what was that? Like in the book, wasn't that like 17 years? Wasn't that in the book? He was there that long researching the ring. Like that's Scott with Dark Souls.
Yeah. And it's fascinating. I honestly love listening when he gets into his Dark Souls or Elden Ring scholar mode. Because, like, the thing is like, there's so much of me that I'm like, how do you even gather all of this lore from this stuff? Like, I know it's all there, but just, like, especially when I'm playing a game on the channel, I'm such a dumb idiot when I'm playing games on the channel, because you can't focus on things when you're also trying to offer commentary. So I have no idea what's happening at this. I just know, like, I gotta go there and I gotta kill this guy. And, like, that's
so many memories, like, yeah, I'm like, I'm thinking Elden Ring. I'm standing in front of the big golden mist that's separating me from a boss.
Yeah.
About to walk through. Scott's like, hold on a minute, I got to tell you something. I got to get my popcorn out or something. And I'm not bored by any of this.
Yeah, I was going to say it's so fun. I love world building. Like, it's one of my favorite things. As a guy who is a DM for D&D and is dipping his toe in writing books and stuff like that, like, I love world building. It is so fascinating to me. So I love it. But yeah, it's so cryptic.
It's very obtuse.
We just fought like this giant tree and would never really know why that tree is alive.
Yeah, right. Why is it sentient or something? There's a reason for it, and it's explained.
It's very obtuse. Very obtuse lore, very obtuse world building. You can just play it for what it is and try to get a story out of it, and you will get a story, but it's very simple if that's all you're playing it for. Yeah. The lore is where the interest
you got to work for it.
But even if you were not interested in the lore whatsoever, you'll still enjoy the very basic story. Elden Ring's included in that. And you would love the combat, because the combat is really fun.
You know what's interesting about the combat of Dark Souls 3, but really any FromSoft game, so I'm a kickboxer, and so a couple times a week I go to the gym and I let people try and punch me in the face in exchange for me trying to punch them in the face. And what's interesting actually about the combat in there is, like, I'm not going to sit here and act like Dark Souls 3 is an accurate combat simulator. Just look at the game, right? But like, there are some principles in the combat of that game that actually kind of helped switch my mind when it came to like kickboxing and fighting, that like actually helped me kind of change my game up for the better, namely with the concept of when you're dodging or evading, like everyone's instinct always is to dodge away, right? Like, you want to go away from the danger. That's true in the game and it's true in real life. It's one of the hardest habits.
Monster Hunter taught us otherwise.
And like, that's the thing. So did Dark Souls, because you have like, you want to dodge away from the thing, but that just puts you in more danger and it puts you on your back foot. One of the most effective things, one of the biggest things that changed my ability to succeed in FromSoft games is learning that I want to dodge into it and be as on top of the enemy as possible. And the fact is, in kickboxing, that's one of the best places to be too. Like, if you can get past that sort of like that no man's land where your opponent has just as much ability to punch you in the face as you them, if you can close that and sit in the pocket, and if you can be the one who can move and maneuver where you need to be in the pocket and take their range out of the equation, suddenly everything opens up for you. And when I started paying attention to that and noticing that in FromSoft, I started taking that to my own fighting at the gym, and suddenly I was like, oh man, I've got a whole lot of openings. Like, I'm getting myself to a new plateau. And so that's like one of the most interesting things. I don't know what that says about me or the game. I just know that it happened, and it's fascinating.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where to place it. It's not an everyone must play, because
I agree.
It's not a game changer. It's not a game changer. Dark Souls.
How isn't it a game changer?
Well, I'll explain. Dark Souls 1 or Demon Souls really was the game changer when it came to this genre of action-based, like tough RPGs.
Yeah.
You've played them probably, or at least dipped your toes in them. Those were the game changers. Dark Souls 3 built off
because there's literally a category of Souls-like now. Like, there are games that are built off of Souls-like.
Dark Souls 1 or Demon Souls was the game changer, or it's the everyone must play. Dark Souls 3 is it's my favorite of all.
I was going to say, I feel like Dark Souls 3, if we want to use it as a catch-all for FromSoft and Souls-like games and game changer, I feel like that is reasonable. Otherwise, I would almost put it in personal favorite, because the fact is, as great as it is, there is a certain, like I say, like kind of cult classic niche to it that it's like not everyone's gonna love this game, and it's like we talk about it being an acquired taste, but there are some people that may never acquire that taste, and I think that's understandable.
I see.
You go ahead and put it in personal favorite, because I don't see that as pejorative. I love this game.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, SSX Tricky is one of my favorite games in the world, and I am proud to have it in personal favorite.
It's just interesting to see it sitting there in that green little category.
I was going to say, well, because like the imagery of it just being on the bottom makes it look like it's one of the lowest tiers, but we don't really have it set up as a, like, the top is the best and the bottom is the worst. It's kind of different the way we've got our ranker going.
It wasn't so much that it was sitting on the bottom. It's just that it's alone with SSX Tricky.
I know, right? because we've had so many
ouch.
reasons to put others in other categories. Because the other thing about it too is I feel like any one of these could qualify as a personal favorite. That's kind of the point of what we're doing here. So
True. Yeah.
yeah,
That
What do you
makes
guys
sense.
What do you guys think? We have time for one more, or do you want to call it a night?
I'd be down for one more if we wanted to cap it off with one last
Oh,
one.
okay. Well, then I'm gonna have to make this a really good draw. Then, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
What
Here we
was
go.
too good?
Okay. It is Alien Isolation.
Ah, that's a strong finish. I'm on board with that. That's a good one. I don't know if I nominated this one, but I'm glad it's on the list. It's a good game.
Brody, I think you nominated this one, but it was on my short list, or my long list, as it were.
I love this. This is probably, if there's a scary game that I like and love, it's this one.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the original movie.
Mhm.
And for the reason that this was, out of all the games that they tried to make coming out of that movie, this was the closest thing to getting the atmosphere absolutely perfectly right. And it actually had a bad guy, a nemesis, an antagonist that learned play style.
Yeah.
Like it learns you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was incredible. The tight people might criticize the fact that you only have hallways and really tight corridors and it's really dark. That's what the movie was.
Yeah.
They were all stuck in a very small, cramped little place against this unstoppable force of nature. And it learned off of them, just like in this too. Like I don't know. I get stammery because this one excites me. You take out your flamethrower, and at first it runs right into the fire and screams and runs away. But after a while, you'll take that thing out, and it stops and waits for you to finish. And after finish using it, and because it's figured you out.
Yeah.
If you like to hide underneath tables, it starts to figure out you like to hide underneath tables, so it starts to check those more. Like the fact that you can build a game that does that is pretty astounding.
Yeah,
just technological.
That's why I was really glad that this one ended up in there, is for that nemesis system. Like, it is such a fascinating thing to see a game that can learn. Because I actually played this one on my channel and I beat it not too long ago. So there we go. Self-insert, self-advertisement. Go check out my playthrough of Alien Isolation. It really is it's so cool, because I'm the type of gamer where I will find a tactic in a game that works for me and I will just do that tactic the whole way, right? For me, a really good example, I just finished or not finished, I am playing a run through of Shadowrun Returns. And I've kind of learned that, okay, there's this one methodology that I can approach every combat with, and I can kind of use the same methodology in every one, and it'll work. So I'll keep doing that. This game goes out of its way to punish that mentality and encourage you to do different things. And in some ways, it's kind of frustrating and intimidating. But the other side of it is, when I think about it, I'm so glad that this game gave me an excuse to try all kinds of different things. Because the flip side of it is by having that system where it will learn your tactics if you do the same thing over and over again, what it's really doing is it opens up this opportunity where if it's something you haven't done, it's less familiar with it, which means it rewards you doing something different, even if you're bad at it. So even if you're bad at using grenades or something like that, if you haven't been doing it, it will still work. So it gives you that wiggle room to learn a new technique rather than being afraid that it's not going to work for you.
Or it'll lead to some very, very comedic video game playing
where
if you don't know what to do it, you could be going down the hallway with the noisemaker bomb in your hand. You throw it, it clips the side of the door you're trying to throw it through, so it slides right back at your face.
There were some very zany moments when I was playing it for the channel. There is some goofy stuff. Although my favorite thing too is the thing is also clever enough and real enough and independent enough that you can actually use other existing NPCs, the robots or the other people, against themselves, and you can almost lure them and use that to make the alien assist you in a lot of ways too. It's fascinating the way they did it, and it's such a disappointment to me that we haven't seen a larger explosion of that type of stuff, because I think it's such a cool thing to do.
It was kind of a unique gameplay mechanic, a first person stealth horror.
Yeah,
you finally get something where you might have played games like Amnesia. You might play these games where you cannot fight.
Yeah,
and this it's not that you're not going to win. You're not going to fight and win, but you can ward it off.
Yeah.
And so it gives you that kind of false but not so false hope that I got this. We can do this.
And
but
it might
that
even
makes
work the first couple times, but then
stressful.
it won't work for you.
The first person aspect of this game is what really makes it grip you as like terrifying. Like there's so much suspense associated with it, and that is something that's somewhat unique to horror games, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then
It's the first
Resident Evil 7 did it, and then repeated it with Resident Evil 8.
Yeah.
With great success, I think.
Yeah.
This is the first time I played a first-person one too, where it's like cinematic first-person, where like things happen where, like in the medical hall, when you're coming down the hallway and the vent opens and that steam comes out and you see it slowly drop, and it has that music that's just violins that come up out of nowhere and tremble, and it's like, okay, I had to hide underneath the gurney for the first time, out for many times to come. But like talking story. Because the story is good. While it's not, it's kind of, if you've watched Alien, it's the same sort of story.
Yeah.
You have all these people that do really, they're trying to figure this thing out for the first time.
Yep.
And they fail. And you ultimately end up with this person who has overcome all of these different things and gender things too, in a sense, because there's that happens in the original movie, and she ends up being Elle Ripley, the one that survives.
Yep.
And this, it really extends that story further, but also it just captures that. I always love it. Like you
it
really
captures
get that
the mood of the original movie better than any of the sequel movies do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like in this one, you have so many other people with you.
Yeah.
But when you are alone, when you are finally alone, Ricardo is gone. Like you're down there in that spot where the violins really kick in. You have that one really long hallway to get out. And that's it. Like that thing can see you from a mile away. You have to use everything you have to use everything down to the pocket lint in your pockets to get out of there. That is what that movie franchise is about.
Yeah.
And they nail it.
Yeah.
You can try to run out of there screaming, but that's not going to work unless you're ready.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's a good one. It's very unique. I think it goes in probably game changer. Still holds up today.
I was gonna say I would say game changer because of that Nemesis system. Like
the technology of that is so
a mild critique of the game. I don't think that the story was the most compelling.
I would agree with that. It's the gameplay that really pushes that game. Like it's got a decent story, but it is the gameplay that really sells it.
The story is this. Like I meant, like the story is good, but it's.
The story is a vehicle. The story is a vehicle for really fun gameplay and just a great game.
Yeah,
it's pretty much the same storyline as Alien. It's pretty. If you take out the characters and what their attachments are and whatnot, it's very similar.
Very similar.
I mean,
the Alien AI is very well built and very well optimized. The remaining like NPC AIs and like the Android AIs, they're not very great.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, and I'll even argue that there's that portion in the middle there where there isn't an alien for a while. And it's just those androids where it's like, all right.
That part gets kind of annoying. I'm like, all right, come on, let's move along here.
Yeah. But then when you get to that other portion where there's not just one alien, but many, golly sakes, trying to get from one end of that, I think that probably took me an hour.
Yeah.
Because it was terrifying. Your little radar is going off like you're surrounded.
The alien nest. The alien nest was terrifying.
Yeah, I about pooped myself when I saw that.
Oh, and good news, there's a sequel in development.
I feel like I heard that. Yeah.
No, there is for sure, and it's not just a phone app game, which is awesome. They came out with that one. They came out with that one kind of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
They came out with that, which apparently isn't bad, but it's just kind of.
Creative Assembly is making a proper, full sequel for it, which is going to be great. I can't wait.
I dig it.
I like it because you get the full cinematic experience with a challenge of an opponent that learns you.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty sweet. All right, guys, we've been going at this for like an hour and 20 minutes here, so I'm gonna go ahead and do our sign off. You guys don't gotta log off at all quite yet, but like we can still chat after. But I'm gonna do my sign off here. So I'm going to say to all of the viewers, thank you so much for joining us. We love and appreciate every single one of you. Parting words of wisdom. I don't know. We'll capitalize on if you ever find yourself in an alien ship being hunted by an alien, mix up your tactics, because if it's an alien that can be spacebound, it's probably pretty smart and can probably learn things. Real life lessons learned from video games there. So there you go. There's your lesson for everyone.
Don't take your cat into deep space.
Yeah, don't do that. Leave Kitty at home with a cat sitter. It's safer for everyone. Kitty deserves to be somewhere that they can like at least have a window to chase birds into. That's also good advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. Okay. Anyway, all you audience members, love you. Bye.